ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce one of the people who has been with the movement of Free Iran, support for Free Iran from the very outset, who, like Vidal-Quadras, visited Camp Ashraf to see at first hand the situation, who comes from Estonia. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tune Kelam.
Thank you very much, Chairman and Madame Rajavi, dear friends. We have to deal with an imminent major human tragedy, but at the same time it is a source of inspiration and hope. And I hope that this hope would prevail. I'm very much moved by the presentation of my neighbor. I can share the same feelings, having been there less than 3 years ago, together with Alejo and Paulo, our recent colleague from Portugal. And it's entirely different of what we imagine to be a camp. There are no tents or barracks. It's I would say, a normal, small American city, self-supporting, having cultural activities, and well engaged with the neighboring population. And therefore, it is possible to visualize many of these faces and people who are still there, and how important it is to get them out. Because preserving these people is so important investment for the future of not only Iran, but for the future of us, Europe and America. We share the same moral responsibility. In the same room, there will be a conference on totalitarian heritage of Europe. And I hope that very soon we can just talk and have conferences about totalitarian heritage of Iran, because we are looking forward to a real change in Iran. It is possible, but it is to our own responsibility to speed up this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Tune. And the final speaker is Paulo Casaca. He's a co-founder of the Friends of Free Iran. He has been to Camp Ashraf at least on five occasions. So it's over to you, Paulo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is really an honor to be here with my dear friends and former colleagues of the European Parliament, dear Madam President Mariam Rajavi, with Commissioner Verheugen, one of the brightest persons that ever came through our European institutions, and allow me to say that most in particular to Colonel Wesley Martin and Louis Freeh, which I did never hear before and I never met before, and it was really a tremendous feeling to hear your words, because you are absolutely right. You did refer, Mr. Freeh, you did refer to several of the blatant examples of the Iranian terrorist machine in operation. And actually we could, we could be the whole afternoon giving more examples, but I would not refrain from speak about two that are perhaps some of the most obvious. The Superior Council for the Islamic Revolution of Iraq, which is an organization, a sister organization from Hezbollah in Lebanon, and its Badr brigades. I mean, they made public their terrorist threats and their terrorist victories against United States forces. I mean, they are in press releases, they are in international agencies in the end of the 80s. They were invited to take care of Iraq. I mean, there is a book, an entire book, that describes the way that Mr. Chalabi, that was supposed to be so much friend of the Western world, he came into Iraq escorted by dozens of revolutionary guards from Iran. He crossed the border from Iran. I mean, these were going to liberate Iraq? This was going to be a democracy. Colonel Wesley Martin, I really appreciate your words, because I was there in Ashraf. I could see, I was then and again, year after year, I was with Iraqis all the time. And I could see how grateful they were, because they had water in the villages in the nearby of Ashraf, because the PMOI was giving them water. They had some hope for medical treatment, and some of them were coming to me, some of them that I met in a later stage, because they wanted the favors to get this medical treatment in Ashraf, and the PMOI was giving it. But not only the propaganda of the Iranian regime, but there are even departments in the United Nations, departments on the human rights of the United Nations that reproduce the most fabulous lies against the PMOI. And I cannot read this without feeling disgusted. How is it possible? Madam Pillai, it is a shame. It is absolutely Iranian propaganda from the start to the end. I mean, this terrorist attack in Washington, it is so obviously a creation of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards in full command of the leader, of the spiritual leader. It is all the details, even the shabby way of that they did a lot of the things is exactly the shabby way that, for instance, they made the Mykonos massacre in Berlin, with which they did the massacre in Buenos Aires in 93 and 94. I read attentively all the report of the Buenos Aires massacre in Spanish. It is something I would advise everybody to read. And it is really, in my opinion, it is perhaps the best work I have ever read on terrorism. And I read all the details there, and you can see that the Iranian Revolutionary Guards were very clumsy in the way that they acted, and they let, it was very easy to understand that they did it, and they organized it, as it was now the case in Washington. But what does the appeasement press say? Oh no, it's impossible. It could not be the Revolutionary Guards, because they are so professional. They would not be, they would never be caught. Oh no, it's impossible. So this is always the same people that are there to hide the reality, to make us believe on what is not true. And I am so happy to see you here. My heart got really warm when I knew that the director of the FBI in '97 refused to get into this charade. I mean, you deserve all the applause from all of those who praise freedom and democracy, because what you have done is outstanding, and I admire you without limits. I don't want to take more of your time. I would just like to tell you that we shall overcome.